it's not as cute as our other thing. We were ready.
Yeah.
What is up, guys? Hello and welcome to another Facebook Live. This one is extra super special, though, because it's taken me 20 minutes just to do what I normally do. I'm joined by Martin Jacobson, who I know it's super awkward. This happens every time that like we don't look at each other at all, but basically we don't. We just keep our attention here. What's up, Susan? Welcome. So let's just start off with the easy stuff. This is, Martin, your first ever 888 Live as an 888 ambassador. So
Sure.
Does it feel different?
Yeah, a little bit. First time in Bucharest, so that's different. But no, I mean the tournament's the same.
Same. It's always
Yeah.
it's always just poker. Now, I have to assume that you've been a very sought after player. I would think in terms of just representing poker. Lots of people have talked about you as a great ambassador, not only as a really skilled and talented player, but also as someone who represents a lot of the better qualities than poker players. You're into fitness, you're, you know, I think calm, cool, collected. Of course, there's that old you won the main event thing. So talk to me a little bit about choosing to have this partnership with 888 specifically.
Yeah, you would think so, but actually it hasn't been.
This is 2018, girl. Where you been?
Exactly. Yeah, the poker landscape isn't what it once was back in the moneymaker era. But I'm also very selective with like who I don't do partnerships with, and 888, and I definitely share the same sort of core values. Like we care a lot about the game, the integrity of the game, and it just felt like the right time, the right opportunity at the right time, and that I was ready to take on a sponsorship partnership, which is it's not just. It's a lot of responsibility as well, you know, like you're not, I mean, I can still pick and choose or whatever I want to do with my life, but you still have a responsibility, you know, so I wanted to make sure that I was ready for that responsibility, and so it would benefit both my own career and the 888 as a company.
Yeah, it's a lot of commitment. I can say when I see you guys on the stops all the time, I'm really impressed. Although I would say even when I was doing a lot of the PokerStars events, you're pretty regular on the old circuit there. Although actually I think it slowed down a little bit after the main event, which I'm sure this is something that people are always wanting to ask you about, but 2 or 3 people in our Twitter already asked before we started, which is to talk about, you know, how life changes as a poker player after a win like the main event.
Yeah, that's probably my number one question.
1,000 million times. What's it like to be a woman in poker? Like, I don't know, there's like 6 questions that, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, my answer every time, it's not the most exciting one. It really hasn't changed much. You know, I'm still, like you say, still playing the same type of tournaments, still enjoying the game, finding it's just as competitive and fun as before. Yeah, it's just I mean, you get recognized a little bit more and for winning the main event, and you get questions like these, but
like every time.
Otherwise, there's much hasn't, and you get to represent 888, which is probably maybe it's something I wouldn't have been offered hadn't I won the main event, but who knows.
I mean, you had enough runner-ups. I feel like there was going to be a couple of big victories in there at some point, but that was clearly the one. And one of the very first tournament stops that I ever covered was in Villamora, and you were heads up against Toby Lewis, who Toby Lewis just had he just came runner-up, I think, at the LAPC. And yeah. It was so interesting. It was definitely one of the times where I very first fell in love with poker, watching you guys play. And actually, I think you were runner-up another tournament, like right after that. And It was one of the first times where I realized, you know, oh my gosh, poker is such a wild, crazy, interesting game, and there's so many different things going on. How would you say poker has changed in terms of, I think there's all kinds of trends that are always happening. Like 2009, maybe 2010, 2011 was Villamora, somewhere around there. It was EPT 9.
It was actually 2011.
EPT 9, 2011.
2010 maybe. Because, the seasons, the EPT seasons overlap between...
Not 1 year.
2 years. So
yeah.
It starts with Barcelona at the end of the summer. And then the final is in April sometime. So the Villamora was one of the first stops, I think. And I got second there. And then a few months later, I get second again in EPT Deville to a famous Frenchman.
Yeah, that was the rat, right?
That was the rat.
Yeah.
The rat man. Yeah, that one hurt. So I was pretty good at coming close 2 times, and then a few months later, I get fourth at EPT Berlin. Mm-hmm. So I was pretty damn close on winning 3 EPT titles in 1 season.
Which is so crazy. It's really so crazy, and especially when you obviously consider the variance it takes just to get there.
Yeah.
Of course you're a skilled player, but it's like, man, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because I think when I think about some of the things that were going on at that point in poker, like when I first came in, it was a lot of the, like 4-bet, 5-bet shoves, all this sort of like, Nordic style crazy playing, and my mind was exploding, and then like we shifted into this sort of min-raisey, like it went like almost a complete opposite direction in the years following, and now I'm not even 100% sure like where we are. What do you think are the sort of trends that are happening in live tournament poker right now?
Well, both live and online has seen a massive shift lately. So now we're definitely going towards more mathematical and game theory based approach to the game, which is a bit of a shame because now everyone's using tools trying to figure out the optimal strategy, and it's a lot. It's interesting for sure because it shows that it's a very complex game that like not even like computers are able to solve even today. Mm-hmm. But we're definitely heading closer and closer, and so I think like eventually we're gonna see the end of poker, right? But I think it's a shame because it takes away a lot of the fun parts of the game too. The feeling out process, like just having like an exploitable game style rather than always thinking what's mathematically correct,
For sure. I just had Bryn Kenny on the podcast a couple days ago, and he was saying sort of the similar thing where like there are people who have just played and played for years, and they have like instinctual gut reactions, which of course are also balanced with an understanding of the analytical side of the game, but that moving into this real totally math-based and also like lots of software-based decision making is unfortunate and like takes away from some of that fun and excitement.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think Bryn is a perfect example of someone he's played poker for he played poker tournaments for so long, like his instincts he's still probably the one player, if we're not counting like the real old school guys like Seidel, who's still relies a lot on his instincts rather than the solvers and all the softwares available.
It's interesting when I think, and we'll get to your guys' questions in 2 shakes. My EKM Live, I couldn't get to work, so like scrolling through the questions is going to take me a second. But it's another thing that we were sort of discussing on the podcast is in talking about this idea of like making the game fun. Of course, people are always talking about that, and whether it's fun for, poker players or whether it's fun for people to watch or whatever it is. A lot of, I think what PokerStars, for example, has done this year is like just lose pretty much all the poker players on their roster and, have added in a lot of athletes and actors and this type of stuff. But there's also, I don't know, I have like certain opinions on whether or not I think that actually is like good or interesting for the game, but I'm interested from your perspective. Do you think that actually makes the game more fun? Do you think that actually brings people to the game? Or for how much you have to spend to get someone like that?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. It's one of those things you almost have to try it to see what works and
look at the numbers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So for them, it's purely a business. It's clear that they don't. This is my personal opinion, that PokerStars cares about the numbers, the money in, money out sort of approach, which makes sense. But I feel they somehow lost a lot of respect from the players, because they've basically screwed over players for the last couple of years, taking away incentives and just like treating their ambassadors pretty poorly. And so it's definitely hurt their business, but now they've chosen a different approach, which is focusing on famous people, famous influencers in other areas, and trying to bring their fan base, not only them, but their fan bases into poker, and gather interest in different sports and areas. So I don't know. It's they've obviously had this approach to sponsor players since the early days, and maybe I don't know. I'm trusting that they have a pretty significant database of data that shows that this is a more profitable approach. So I guess we'll have to wait and see.
That's literally what I said on the podcast. I'm like, I don't know. I don't understand how this brings people on, but I'm sure that someone did some crunch some numbers and figured it out.
I'm sure it's not a random decision, you know, like, hey, let's try something new.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it's interesting because another thing that I was thinking about is that also there's so many differences in how you approach these various markets, different countries. And I think, you know, for a lot of us who are based in this sort of Western culture, the US and like Europe, that maybe sometimes we think that a lot of people care about things that maybe they don't care about. Like maybe, I don't know, what do people care about in like India and China? I'm not sure. Maybe it's the same celebrities that we have. But it's interesting because I think there's been so many shifts, of course, with regulations and with taxes and stuff. And this actually, it's something that I think comes up a lot in looking at the main event, for example, is like, okay, is it actually like plus EV for people from, say, like Mexico? Like, actually, it's not. Or is it for people from Germany? Like, maybe it's not. But for, I think, a lot of the Nordic countries, right, about 4 or 5 years ago, there was big changes in your guys' tax situation. Do you see that overall has sort of murdered the game in Northern Europe?
The changes?
Yeah.
No, I mean it's gotten better, at least online. So now it's actually tax-free to play online, at least in Sweden. I don't know how it works in Norway,
really?
And Denmark. Yeah.
That's fantastic. I'm moving to Sweden. What are we doing?
A few years ago, yeah. So the only taxable countries where you have to pay for your winnings are everywhere outside of Europe. But the big poker sites realized this, so they switched their servers after Black Friday to European ones, and then they opened the European network, which was combined with the global network, so it didn't really matter. But for tax purposes, it made a huge difference.
Man, that's so nice. I was just worried. I remember talking to Anton Wig like right after everything happened, and he was like, "We're all like gonna have to quit playing poker," and I was worried. Okay, so I'm gonna get to some of your guys' questions. So we'll just start with the most recent. Michael wants to know, can I please compliment Martin on his involvement with Raising for Effective Giving? How'd you get involved, and is there any particular cause that is close to you?
Yeah, so I got involved right before the final table. As I was doing my preparation, part of it was to make sure that I did not only focused on getting ready, like getting ready to play. I wanted to make sure that I maximized my opportunity of playing on such a huge platform. So I was looking at one was sponsorship opportunities, and the other one was I knew I wanted to get involved in some sort of charity and give them exposure as well. And I had heard about the Reg charity before, but I didn't really know what it was about. So this was the first time I actually took the time to read up on the philosophy and their their strategy behind it. And as soon as I read just like the short description, I knew that this was spot on with what I was looking for. Because I didn't have at the time I didn't have the time to invest a lot of time
researching and making sure they're not stealing your money.
The best charity organization. So when I saw that like close friends of mine who I 100% trust had done this research already, and they were providing all these great charities, and you can pick and choose whichever one you like, but they all share the same sort of effectiveness, and that just obviously resonated with me, so I signed up straight away. And then after I won, they made me an ambassador. Was a huge honor. And the one, I think there was about 8 charities at the time, so you can pick and choose. And the one that resonated most with me was the animal welfare. It was animal for farmed animals.
What do they do with farmed animals? I'm like, I need more information, please.
No, so they help. They make the farmed animals' lives a lot better. So it's more humane. It's a more humane,
like an actual farm.
A more humane environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like an actual farm, not like a factory farm.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm on board. Okay, Glenn wants to know, how do you keep your mind set positive after a losing streak or a bust against a garbage hand?
Well, my best advice, what I normally do is take a break, just to recharge, both mentally and physically.
You can't read and talk at the same time. That's my job. That's what I have to do.
I'll look away.
I feel like you've always been like good posture and really calm always since the beginning. And I feel like you've also always been fit. Like there was a big transition there for a lot of the players. But I feel like you've always been really fit. And do you feel like that sort of fitness element plays a big role? I know that there's been so much talk lately about not only the fitness, but also sort of the mental / sort of spiritual part of poker. And spiritual, but basically when you have your like mental health right, it helps you, to play poker better, obviously. But I don't know if everyone really like adheres to this idea. I feel like there's been a trend.
There's been a huge trend, yeah, over the last couple of years.
And are you on board with it?
Oh, for sure. I feel like I've done it longer than most people, and I also feel like it's been a huge contribution to the success I've had.
Okay, Sobers. That is a really unfortunate name if that's true. Is that really true? Just kidding. I've been sober for a few weeks. But he asked if you think there's any correlation between cooking and poker.
Correlation, yeah.
Thanks.
Are
you a chef?
Are you former chef? Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Former?
You didn't notice?
Like since when?
Since I was 21.
Like I'm like, how old are you? What are you, like 25? You were a former chef and also like a main event champ, and also like I saw you in 2001.
Yeah, I went to culinary school.
Oh wow.
You didn't notice?
No.
Oh, I get your
No
research.
idea. Wow. I would never have. I guess poker. There's a lot of like foodie poker kind of crossover, I think.
Yeah.
So do you still cook?
Not so much anymore, but yeah, I still enjoy it. It's tough to cook on the road, but whenever I'm home, I like cooking.
Wow. I had no idea. Ladies, where are you at? Am I right? Look at this guy. Okay, talk about MJ's nutritional edge on the felt. What's in the shake?
What's in the shake?
Is this like an inside joke?
I don't know. I mean, I guess he means like generally.
Yeah.
So my nutrition, I eat, for the most part, I eat like a high fat diet, because I feel like
that sounds delicious. I think I could get on board with this.
But it's all like healthy fats. Yeah, so I eat a lot of avocado and grass-fed butter and coconut oil and nuts and that sort of stuff.
What about bacon?
I eat bacon too. Yeah.
Is that a healthy fat?
It's debatable. It's kind of two camps trying to decide which one is right, but in the meantime, I'll keep eating it.
Yeah, I want to be on the side where bacon is the bomb. Okay, well, you guys, we have a gathering. I called it a party. It's not a party, apparently. We have a gathering to get to, so we will have to go. But hopefully next time I'll be able to figure out this Ecamm Live, and then I can get to your guys' questions and stuff way faster and see everything way faster. Oh, what's up, Brent? Welcome. You're going to have to scroll back to the beginning, buddy, because we're about to just wrap it up. Oh, and PokerNews is up in here now? What? Oh, my God. If PokerNews is in here, are we even on PokerNews right
I thought you were PokerNews.
I think we are. Okay,
Yeah.
bye, you guys. Deuces.
Some sort of scam.